Proverbs chapter number 6. This morning I'm going to speak on what I've entitled The Problem of Pride. The problem of pride. Proverbs chapter 6. There's a story told of two ducks and a frog. They were hanging out, good friends, living in the farm pond. And as the summer got hotter, the pond began to dry up, and so their little watering hole was going to be gone soon, so they needed to make some plans to move. Well, that was pretty simple for the ducks. They could just fly and find another pond. Not so simple for the frog. So the plan was that the ducks each get a stick in their bill, each bill, and they would fly, and the frog would hang on to that stick with his mouth. And as they start flying, they'd get to the next pond, and everyone land would be all good. And it worked really well. And in fact, it worked so well, there was a farmer down there just admiring this little plan that they came up with. And he said out loud, he said, "Well, isn't that clever? I wonder who thought of that." And the frog said, "I did." His pride got the best of him, right? His pride led to destruction. Funny little story, but pride's no laughing matter. Because God hates pride. He hates pride. And you know what? We actually like it. We're pretty good friends with it sometimes. I want you to look with me in Proverbs 6, verse 16 through 19. It says, "These 6 things doth the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him." An abomination is something that is extremely hated. And the first one on the list is what? A proud look. Now, the rest of them, if you really look through them, they also can be associated with pride. A lying tongue. Why do you lie? Because you're protecting yourself, you're promoting yourself, all those things. And hands that shed innocent blood. And you're angry at someone, so you're gonna push them down. You're gonna lift yourself up. And heart that devises wicked imaginations. Again, plotting and scheming so that you can take care of yourself. Feet that be swift to running to mischief. A false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. But these are things that God hates, and the first one on the list is a proud look. Now, a proud look is going to come from a proud heart. What comes out usually is in the heart first. And so we want to look at this today, and since pride is such an offense to God, I think it would be wise if we take some time and consider the subject and to see what areas of our life that have been affected by pride. Because listen, your life isn't going to go well as long as you hang on to your pride. As long as you let pride control you, you're heading for a bigger fall than you can even possibly imagine. And there's dozens and dozens and dozens of illustrations of pride all around us. We can see people been successful, and then their pride, it gets to them, and then we see their downfall. We see it over and over and over again. So I want to simply just give you a few points here. The first one is this. We want to see the properties of pride. In other words, what pride is. What is pride? Well, Webster described pride this way. He said, inordinate self-esteem. We always, we hear, everyone telling you got to feel good about yourself. There's a lot of people feel way too good about themselves. It says, an unreasonable conceit of one's superiority in talents, beauty, wealth, accomplishments, rank, elevation of office. I'm just saying this. Remember a little funny story about I read one time. There was a way back in the day. There was an African princess, and she thought she was the most beautiful woman in the village. And she just thought she was so beautiful. And then some people came in, and they were trading some things, and she got a mirror, and she looked at the mirror, and she screamed because she was actually the ugliest woman in the village. But here, it goes right along here with this, the unreasonable conceit of one's superiority in talents, beauty, wealth. There's a lot of people who think they're going to be in the NBA and they can't even make the high school team. You know, man, I got the J, you know. You got nothing. Okay, you can't even make a layup. But there's a lot of people, they really think that they're something when they are nothing. And it says, which manifests itself in lofty airs, distance, anyway. Webster has a way of putting things. In short, pride focuses on self. And I want you to look at some of these properties of pride, these things that would describe pride. So first one is this. Pride is self-promoting. Lucifer said in Isaiah 14, verses 12 through 15, I've got lots of Bible verses. If you want to get there, you can. Some of them you'll have time to turn to. Some of them you won't have time to turn to. But if you want to turn to Isaiah 14, Lucifer certainly is one who was filled with pride. You know, they say that the word pride, the middle letter is I. The middle letter of the word sin is I. The middle letter of the word Lucifer is I. And so when you're all focused on yourself and it's all about me and I, you're heading into sin. You're heading into pride. And notice what he says in Isaiah 14, verses 12 through 15. He says, I will, several times. And it says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, the son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For thou saidst in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation, the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. You know, that's the problem. So many people want to be God. I'm going to be in charge of my life. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. I'm the big cheese. Oh, no. It says that, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Lucifer said, I will. God said, thou shalt be brought down. Oh, yeah. Self-promoting. He wasn't the only one. We don't have time to look there. You can look it up in the book of Esther. Chapters 3 through 7, you'll see Haman. Haman, man, this guy thought he was something. He was offended because a certain Jew named Mordecai wouldn't bow down to him. He got angry. He was plotting to kill all the Jews, and he built a set of gallows to hang Mordecai. And then the king came in and brought in Haman. He said, hey, so what should I do to honor somebody who I really want to honor? And he says, well, who would he want to honor more than me? And he gets all filled with pride, and he thinks he would want to honor me. And he gives him this great plan. You lead this guy around the horse and with the king's robes, and someone, you go lead before him and start shouting, all the great praises of this man. And then the king says, oh, yeah? Okay, well, you're going to lead around Mordecai, and the guy that he hated, the guy who wouldn't bow down to him. And so he was humbled. And then in the end, he ended up getting hanged on the very gallows that he built for Mordecai. Haman, he was all about promoting himself. He wanted everyone to bow down to him. He thought he deserved everything. Self-promoting. How does that apply to us? Pride pushes other people down so that we can lift ourselves up. And it's something that's so easy to do. We put people down verbally, we put people down, economically, any way we can put people down to get ourselves lifted up. Pride criticizes. Pride has a hard time complimenting people, doesn't it? It can really criticize. And pride wants to look good and wants other people to look bad, because if you look bad, then I look good. So when we have a problem in our marriage, pride doesn't find fault with ourselves. Pride finds fault with our spouse. I don't know how many times I've had marriage counseling. I've got husband and wife there, and it's just like, well, she says this, and she does this, and he says this, and he does this, and why don't you, next time you come and sit down, why don't you come and tell me all what you've done wrong, and keep your mouth shut about what the other person did wrong? Then maybe we can get somewhere. But pride always promotes self and always puts other people down. And the reason we have financial problems, the reason why we have problems in our marriages, the reason why we have problems with our children sometimes, the reason why we have problems in our friendships and our relationships is because of pride. We're pushing ourselves forward and we're pushing other people down. Pride is not only self-promoting, pride is self-protecting. Pride is defensive. It makes excuses for itself. Sarah was a great example of this. The Bible says in Genesis chapter 18, verses 11 through 15, now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and had ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. In other words, she was too old to have kids. Therefore, Sarah laughed within herself, saying, because the Lord said that she was going to have a child. So she laughed within herself, saying, after I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being also old? And the Lord said unto Abraham, wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I of a surety bear a child, which am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed, I will return unto thee according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, nay, but thou didst laugh. Why did she deny when she was caught and confronted? Pride. She didn't want to look bad. Oh, I didn't laugh. Well, I tell you, so many people, they're so quick to cover up what they've done wrong. They make excuses for it. They justify it. It's his fault. It's her fault. No, what have you done wrong to get into this mess? And what are you going to do to fix this mess? Pride doesn't want to look bad. Pride, we think pride is on our side, and that's why we're so friendly with it, because we want to be self-protecting and protect ourselves, and people lie and they cheat and they steal everything to protect themselves. Pride is self-pleasing. Pride always wants its own way, and it's sad until he gets his way. Remember Ahab? He wanted the vineyard that wasn't his. He sat around, he pouted, and they plotted and they schemed, find a way to get that. He wasn't going to be happy until he got the vineyard. Pleasing self is pride. We please ourselves in a lot of ways. We spend money on ourselves that we shouldn't spend. We were just talking about that in the Growing in Grace class. Money management. Oh, yeah. You deserve. Get the car you've always deserved. You hear those commercials. You deserve the BMW. I do. Oh, yeah, I deserve it. And I'm going to go into debt to get it because I deserve it. No, I don't. You don't deserve it. You're proud. You're proud. So we spend money and we get into financial problems because of our pride, because I deserve this. I got this new position. I need that new outfit. I'm going to spend all this money on to look good. I'm going to run in the marathon. So I'm going to get those XJ 2000 shoes. Everything's the biggest and the best and the most expensive because it's for me. And when my kids need it, well, can you get that at Walmart? I think the dollar store has a deal on those. Oh, pride. Pleasing self is all about pride. Sexual sins stem from pride. Think with me about David. He went into sin with Bathsheba. Did he have her best interest in mind? Did he love Bathsheba? Did he care for Bathsheba? No, he cared about himself. He cared about pleasing himself. People who dabble in porn and fornication and extramarital affairs are filled with pride because all they care about is pleasing themselves. So I got a porn problem. You got a pride problem, buddy. Well, I just like her. I know. You got a pride problem. Because you don't care about your wife. You don't care about your kids. You don't care about anybody but you. Pride is wicked sin. God hates it. And it's the root of so many of our problems. And yet we tolerate it. We play with it. We say it's okay, and we don't identify it, and we don't realize it is going to bring us down. Pride is self-preferring. 2 Timothy 3:2 says, "For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters." The next word is proud. Proud people love themselves. They prefer themselves. Pride makes you think you're more important than others. And yet Romans 12:10 says, "Be kindly affection one to another with brotherly love, in honor, preferring one another." Preferring one another. We get back to the money. I got money. I can buy something for me, or I can buy something for my wife. I've got a little extra money from the paycheck. I can use it for me, or I can slip it and help one of my kids. Don't get any ideas, Deborah. Philippians 2:3 says, "Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves." You know, you got a problem in your marriage? Why don't you just esteem the person you're married to better than you? "Oh, but they're not." That's your problem. And they might not be, but if you esteem them that way, well, maybe you're going to work on your problem. You know, my kids have had problems through the years, but so have I. I'm not better than my children. We got to learn how to look at the scriptures the right way. What makes someone cut in line? What makes someone cut someone off on the road? Pride. What makes a parent care more about their own needs than their children's needs? Pride. What makes a husband care little about what is important to his wife? Pride. Right? Guys, you know, when you come home, you're tired, and your wife's tired too. She's been with the kids. Some of your wives have been working and whatever, and all you want to do is eat, and all she wants to do, if she's been with the kids all day, is talk to someone who's an adult. And you don't have time to talk to her. What's important to her is not important to you. Why? Because it's all about you. It's all about pride. Pride is another property of pride. Pride is self-praising. Some people talk too much about themselves. You know, they're the hero of every story. And if you got a story, they've got one better than you. I mean, Proverbs 20, verse 6 says, "Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness, but a faithful man who can find?" Proverbs 27, verse 2, "Let another man praise thee, and not thine own mouth." All right? You get done with your Sunday school lesson, you go up to someone in your class and say, "That was pretty good, wasn't it?" No. No, you ought not be the one to be saying that. Oh, man. Pride is self-parading. I found this interesting. One of the Hebrew words, there's a few different Hebrew words for the word pride that's translated pride, but one of them I was looking up, and one of those Hebrew words for pride means to strut. You know, have you ever heard that saying, "Proud as a peacock"? That peacock just gets it and fans out their feathers, and they just kind of, you know, they strut around and showing off all their colors, and they're just, you know, look at me. The Bible says a high look and a proud heart and plowing the wicked is sin. That high look, that strut, that swagger. Some people are really impressed in how they look. You know, guys like to swagger. You know, some guy, you know, there's some guys just, every move is like choreography. Let me touch my hair. You know, sometimes you see the guys out on the wrestling mat, and they get off the wrestling mat. It's just, yeah. You know, it's just, come on. They show the guy swagger and the girls prance. I'm not real good at that, sorry, but try not to do the swivel hip action there. But, what is all that? What is the strut? What is the swagger? What is the prancing? What is the primping? What is all of that? It's pride. It's pride. The Bible says in 1 John 2:16, the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world is so much in the lives of God's people today, it's unbelievable. Pride is self-persuading. Proud people never think they're wrong. Proverbs 21:2 says, every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the hearts. Oh yeah, we think we're right. It's difficult for some people to take correction. It's difficult for some people to admit they're wrong. Some people are so convinced they're right when they're dead wrong. And you can explain it to them. You can show it in the Bible to them. I've counseled so many people, they just can't see it. They are right and you are wrong, and even when they're wrong. Can I give you some? When you go and get counsel from the pastor, can I say something? Listen to him and stop justifying yourself and making excuses. Self-persuading. It's pride. Self-pitying. When we begin to feel sorry for ourselves, it's due to pride. Now, King Saul, he had messed up, he'd sinned, and so God said, you're not going to be the king anymore. And he had chosen David. David wasn't the king yet, and so Saul's pretty upset. Saul's pretty jealous. He's hunting David around, trying to kill David. David escaped, and over he got away. And Saul got his servants together, and he was speaking to them. He says, all of you have conspired against me, and there's none that showeth me that my son hath made a league with the son of Jesse. That was David. And there is none of you that is sorry for me. What a baby. He's having a pity party. There's none of you sorry for me. Feel sorry for me. Self-pity is nothing more than pride. Things aren't going to go our way all the time. But pouting and sitting around feeling sorry for ourselves is nothing but short of pride. Because we're all concerned about us. I can't do what I used to do. I can't do what I want to do. I can't. And this was David. It's all about you. We're going to go back to I. It's all about pride. Christian life's not supposed to be about me. It's not supposed to be about you. It's supposed to be about others. So that was number one. Number two, we see the products of pride. What does pride produce? Well, some of that is kind of what, kind of blends into them. But here's a couple of things that pride will actually produce in a person's life. Well, this is an obvious one. First one would be derision. When you get filled with pride, it's easy to ridicule others and mock people and make fun of other people. It comes from pride. Maybe you can play basketball and someone only shoots air balls, and you're just going to sit there and ridicule them. Why? Because you're so much better than everybody else. It's pride. Maybe you're good at the piano and you can sit there and man, it just flows. And someone else gets up there and they hit a wrong key and another wrong key, and you're like, oh, man, you just don't have it. Maybe they don't. But if you're going to mock them and ridicule them, you got something that they don't have. You got pride. Psalm 119, verse 51, the psalmist said, the proud have had me greatly in derision. They were greatly mocking him, greatly deriding him. That's what pride produces. It produces the idea you want to make fun of others, especially people trying to do what's right. Listen, when you go home after Sunday morning service or after Sunday evening service and you have roast pastor for the meal, I'll tell you where that came from. Pride. You're going to ridicule him. You're going to mock him. Who does he think he is? You can talk to him. He doesn't think he's anyone special. He just knows that this is what God called him to do. So there's that problem. And there's another product. It's deceit. You know, proud people often don't even realize they're proud. They don't even realize. Some people know it, and they're pretty proud of it. But there's other people who don't know it. Someone once said this: pride is the only disease that makes everyone sick but the one who has it. If you want to know if you got pride, just ask somebody. Say, do you think I got a problem with pride? Yep. And as the last thing you want to hear is someone say, you know what you got? You got a pride problem. No, I don't. And that just proves that you did. Because if you were humble, you'd say, oh, maybe I should think about that. But it produces deceit. Now, Obadiah was given a prophecy to Edom, and this is what he said: the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. You think you're going to get away with your sin. You think you're untouchable. You think that nothing's going to happen to you. You don't even realize how bad you are in sin. It's pride that deceives us. And when people, it's just amazing, people can be so wrong and think that they're so right. Proud people are often deceived by their pride, and then they falsely accuse others of it. David, when he went out to check on his brothers at the war, his oldest brother Eliab said, I know why you came. You just came here because the pride of your heart made you come here. No, the pride of your heart, Eliab, is trying to condemn David for having pride. David went there as an obedient son. He actually had the courage to want to go fight Goliath. Eliab didn't. The pride will make you falsely accuse others of having that pride. Oh, pride's a horrible thing. Now, it also produced something else. It produces division. This is something we can really see in our lives. The Bible says in Proverbs 13:10, only by pride cometh what? Contention. Contention. Is there contention in your home? Well, what is it? Came from pride. The contention's there from pride. Is there contention with your pastor, with the principal, with one of the assistant pastors? Is there contention, young people, with one of your teachers? It's due to pride. Is there contention in some of your friendships? I thought she was my friend, and then she did this, or she said this, and she looked at me this way, and I heard from someone that was gossiping that she was over there talking to someone else about gossip, and I don't know, but yeah. Pride, that contention's because of pride. Proverbs 28, verse 25. He that is of a proud heart stirreth up strife. There's some people that are really good at pushing other people's buttons. I mean, you know what's going to set them off. And you know it, and you just go ahead and you push that button, and you say the word, you do the act, you just know it's going to irritate them. And you're not all upset, what makes you push that button? What makes you stir up that strife? Pride. No wonder why we have problems in our relationships, problems in our homes, problems with people who are trying to help us. Pride. And God hates pride. Another product of pride is damage. You know, everywhere you turn where there's pride, it hurts people. Proud people use hurtful words. The scriptures say in Proverbs 14:30, it says, in the mouth of the foolish is a rod of pride. And that's also interesting, too, that it's telling us if you're proud, you're also foolish. In the mouth of the foolish is a rod of pride. What is a rod used for? Beating somebody. That's what the rod was used for, to inflict pain. And there's a lot of people who use the rod of pride. Their pride is associated with the words that come out of their mouth. They're filled with pride, and they're ready to hurt, and they're ready to cut, and they're ready to hammer, and they're ready to pound on people. And if all we can do is just beat people up with our mouth and with our words and with our tongue, it's a pride problem. We're causing damage. Can't build up. Can't say, honey, I love you. Can't say, you look pretty today. Say, can't you find a better outfit than that? Hey, must have a bad hair day today, huh? Oh, did you forget to put the makeup on? In the mouth of the foolish is a rod of pride. So pride causes damage with the words. Proud people bully the less fortunate. Psalm 10:2 says, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Why does he persecute the poor? Because they're easy pickings. Yeah, it's like that in school. It's like that in classes. It's like that in neighborhoods. There's always some that's a little less fortunate, maybe not just, in finances. Some of their times they're less fortunate. They're a little smaller than you. They're a little weaker than you. They're a little less talented than you. And you pick on them because they have a little less than you do. They have a little less car. They have less of a house than you do. And so you just kind of, just damage people, hurt people, bully people. Proud people plot the downfall of others. The Bible says in Psalm 140, verse 5, the proud have hid a snare for me and cords, and they have spread a net by the wayside. They have set gins. A gin's kind of like a noose that you would use to catch an animal. They have set gins for me. So mark it down. If you like to hurt other people with your words or with your plots and your schemes or with your position, it's nothing short of having a pride problem. Pride also manifests itself. It's another product is defiance. Now, defiance can come out in a couple different ways. It can come out in anger. That's one way. Proud and haughty scorner is his name, who dealeth in proud wrath. Proverbs 21:24. Proud wrath. Why is he angry? You know why we get angry? Because you know why I get angry? Because you went against me. And you shouldn't go against me because I'm important, right? That's how we think. We think I'm better than you. Why would you go against me? Now you have a problem. I've got a problem with you because you have a problem with me. And what is that? It's our pride. That's why we have a problem with anger. Some people have anger. People have anger in different ways. Some people, they just blow up and they just lose it totally. And others just get silent. They look at you and they get that silent burn. They're inside. It's just like, if looks could kill, you'd been dead twice over. They just clam up and stew for a while. You got a problem with anger, you probably got a problem with pride too. But not only does it come out, this defiance come out in anger, it comes out in another way. It comes out in stubbornness. When Daniel, the prophet, spoke about the heathen king Nebuchadnezzar, he said this. He said, but when his heart was lifted up and his mind hardened with pride, he was disposed from the kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. So he lost his kingdom, but what would happen? His heart was lifted up, and his mind was hardened with pride. Now, if you've ever done any carpentry or anything, you know it's kind of difficult sometimes to work with a piece of wood that's filled with knots, okay? And some people are just like a knotted piece of wood. They're hard, and they're stubborn, and they're really difficult to work with. Why are you so stubborn? You got your answer right here. Pride's hardened your heart. It's hardened your ways. All right, let me move to the next point. We see the perils of pride. What does pride bring? Well, it's dangerous to continue in pride. What happened to Lucifer? He was cast out of heaven. What happened to Haman? He was hanged on the very gallows that he set up for someone else. What happened to Nebuchadnezzar? He lost his throne and he had to wander around the wilderness like an animal. And on and on and on. Let's consider a few problems that await us if we don't take care of our pride. First one is a downfall. You're going to have a downfall. Pride and destruction Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. That's Proverbs 16:18. A haughty spirit, that proud spirit, is going to come before a fall. You will fall. God promises. Nebuchadnezzar said this after he had gotten taken down and he got humbled, and then God restored him. He says, now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all whose works are truth and his ways judgment. And those that walk in pride, he is able to abase. He said he had everything. He looked out and saw his kingdom and said, man, look at this great Babylon. Look at all that I have and that I've built by my might. And how he's saying after he got humbled and put down and sent out into the wilderness for months and months and just had to crawl around on all fours like an animal. He said, God is able to abase. And if he could take down Nebuchadnezzar, who had it all, he can take down you too. He can take down me. There have been a lot of people who got all stuck on themselves and they got taken down. They had it all. And they've lost their marriages. They had it all. They've lost their homes. They've lost it all. Because their hearts were stubborn. Their hearts were proud. They thought that they knew better. They weren't going to walk in the ways of the Lord. And you cannot fight against God and win. Downfall. God knows how to take us down a notch. And you might lose what's most precious to you. Not only that, but denial. Not that you'll deny anybody, but that God will deny you when you come to him with your request. Listen to this. James 4:6. God resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. So the time will come when proud people are going to want help from God, but God's not going to help them. He's going to deny their request. Proverbs 1:27-30 tell us this. When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me, for that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. They would none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. You don't want anything to do with me? Then you're not going to have anything to do with me when it comes time when you really want something. Not until you deal with your pride. God, as long as we're proud, we're fighting against God, and he will resist us in our actions. He will resist us in our requests. Are things going pretty hard for you right now? It might be a judgment of your pride. No, another peril of pride is dejection. You know that proud person's got their nose kind of up in the air, but pretty soon it's going to be facing the other direction. It's going to be downcast. When God judges people for the sin of pride, that proud look changes. The Bible says in Proverbs 11, verse 2, when pride cometh, then cometh shame. It's coming. It might not be there yet, but it's coming. But it's coming. So I talk about basketball. I saw one player. I mean, he put some moves on somebody, and he totally lost. This is in the NBA. He totally lost this guy, and he stepped back behind the three-point line, and this guy was like, he lost him so bad. The guy was at the free throw line. I mean, he shook him so bad. And he looked at him and he taunted him and he did a little dance. And he took his three-point shot. And he's a really good three-point shooter. And he missed. And I was like, yeah, you jerk. He was all proud and cocky and I just stuck you, man. Look at this. Ooh, I missed. Yeah, that proud look. He wasn't looking so proud after that. Oh, yeah. Shame and embarrassment, those are the last things that proud people want. But those are exactly what God's going to give to them. Wouldn't it be better if we just deal with our pride? And then we don't have to get what we don't want to get? You want to be lifted up? Pride wants to be lifted up. Hey, let God do it instead of doing it yourself. He gives grace to the humble. And another peril of pride is destruction. Proverbs 18:12. Pride goeth before destruction, the heart of man is haughty. Proverbs 15:25. The Lord will destroy, listen to this, the house of the proud. You want your family destroyed? Just continue on in your pride. Everyone that is proud, not some, everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Though hand join in hand, he shall not be unpunished. Proverbs 16:5. If we refuse to humble ourselves, we will be humbled. And it can end in destruction. Destruction of our finances, where our finances are a mess. We're so proud we won't go and get help. I heard a story about a doctor. There, a group of doctors are sitting down having lunch together, and one doctor got up and he left the meal. He went out in the hallway. He had gotten something stuck in his throat, and he was too proud to say anything to his doctor friends that could have, helped him out. He went out in the hallway, choked, and died. Listen, you have problems in your marriage? Get help. You have problems with your kids? Get help. You have problems with your finances? Get help. If we don't humble ourselves, we'll have some destruction. Now, we'll close with this, the prescription for pride. How do we overcome pride? Well, we all struggle with pride at times, some worse than others. Some keep it in check. Some, it's got a long leash. So what can you do if you've been guilty of pride? First of all, be honest. Maybe you are good at something. Why don't you remember who made you good at it? Let me give you a verse. 1 Corinthians 4, verse 7. For who maketh thee to differ from another? Answer is, God. Well, it's not you. And what hast thou that thou didst not receive? Nothing. Everything I have I've received, so I'm not better because I have more than somebody else, okay? No, he says, now if thou didst receive it, why dost thou glory as if thou hadst not received it? Can't answer that one. No good answer. Because I'm an idiot? Or maybe I should just stop being an idiot and stop thinking I'm better because I have some other possession someone doesn't have, or thinking I'm better because I have some talent that someone else doesn't have, or I can, whatever it is. So just be honest and realize that any good thing you have came from God. You received it anyway. And the next thing is be humble. We often quote that verse, in 1 Peter 5:5, God resisteth the proud and giveth grace to the humble. The next verse draws a great conclusion. He says, humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time when he's ready. Stop trying to lift yourself up. Let God do it. Hezekiah was a really good king, but he let it go to his head, and he got lifted up with pride, the Bible says. And God wasn't real happy with him. There's a lot of good people who are doing good things, some in ministry. Maybe you're a bus captain, maybe you're a Sunday school teacher, maybe whatever. Maybe you work on staff, whatever. There's a lot of good people who it goes to their head when they start doing good things, and God's not happy. But notice what Hezekiah did. In 2 Chronicles 32:26 says, notwithstanding, Hezekiah humbled himself for the pride of his heart, both he and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so that the wrath of the Lord came not upon them in the days of Hezekiah. Hezekiah avoided God's judgment because he humbled himself. Perhaps we could also avoid some problems. Perhaps we could avoid some of the perils, some of the destruction that's waiting for us if we would just humble ourselves. A newly commissioned Navy officer, captain, he took pride in his first assignment. He was commanding a battleship. There was a stormy night, and there was a light heading straight toward his ship. He sent a message to the signalman. They used the lights flashing back and forth. And it said, change your course 10 degrees to the south. The reply came back from that light, change your course 10 degrees to the north. Well, the The captain was angry. He's the captain of a battleship. And he said, alter your course. I am the captain of a battleship. The reply flashed back, alter your direction. I am the lighthouse. Many people are on a collision course with destruction because they refuse to bend to God's will. God's word is like that lighthouse, which is, he's trying to prevent us from having a shipwreck on the rocky shore of life. But we're too proud to listen. And we're going to steam forward in our own way to our own demise. Humble yourself or face destruction. Let's bow our heads.